All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh Juice, an indie game podcast. I am one of your hosts, Tommy Fresh. For a year in a row, I've been joined by
Matty Juice. I'm still here. I've been sitting here for a year, and I just throw the mic on, Tommy, every week. Just throw it on for a year.
For a year, sitting here, drinking a beer.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll give you a leer. And
In the clear.
Because it's been 1 year. We did it. We made it to 1 year. It's the last episode ever. No, kidding, of course. We'll be back next week, of course. But we do have an episode this week to talk about just like looking back at the first year of Fresh Juice and what we liked and what we didn't like and our expectations. Were they met? Will next year's expectations be set? And we're just going to actually do the whole podcast in rhymes and see how it goes.
We're like leprechauns. It's a riddle. The whole show is a riddle. That's what we're doing all year two. You know, that's what we're going to do in year two.
Who knew? Actually, it seems quite hard to do that. But we're going to try. Really? No, I can't even think of a way to rhyme with that. It could have been a bat. But
Yeah.
that wouldn't make sense.
True.
As a matter of
fact. It could have
fact.
been your co-host, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, your name's Matt. Holy smokes. Anyway, we got serious business to get to. First of all, what's going on? How was your weekend?
It was good overall. Just did a stream on Saturday that was a lot of fun. Hopping back on the streaming train with some Once Humans. That was a good time. Had a lot of great conversations. Had some people actually that live north of the Arctic Circle in the stream, which was pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what they said, at least. I mean, who knows?
What?
What?
I mean, I was just saying, what was their username? Was it Chris Kringle 68 or something like that?
Yeah, it was him and a bunch of like elves names in the chat. It was pretty weird, but that was cool. And then Sunday, just kind of watched some football. Watched the Eagles win at the end of the game, which was great. And then, all this week it's just been, there's some new content coming on Once Human. So I've been prepping for that. Also just working the normal job. So it's been a lot, for this week, but prepping, getting excited and going to be releasing some videos for some new content coming out. So hopefully that goes well, but it's been busy to say the least. So what about you, Tommy? How's everything going?
Busy's good. We like busy. What have I been doing? Well, I recorded a set review podcast for the new set of Flesh and Blood. So that was a lot. I still got to edit it still, but I have it pretty set up that I can just bing, bang, boom it a little bit. And then, whatever, we'll figure out the rest from there. But it went well. I'll do it with my friend Bill, who is from Canada.
Nice. Bill from Canada.
Cool. He runs a kind of a trading card YouTube called the Spike Feeders, him and his brother. And they do a lot of Magic content, but they also do Flesh and Blood content. But he always comes on for the set reviews, and it's actually really nice because those set reviews are like 5 hours long, and Bill just gives me all that time. And every single time, I'm amazed he agrees to do it again. Like, that's a long time to sit with me, first of all, and talking to a mic. But he does it, and grateful. Did some wedding stuff, got some wedding stuff figured out this weekend. Went to get a wedding band, and then we went to talk to our officiant, who is our mutual cousin's husband. So we got to hang out with their kid, which he's a ball of energy. Little Caleb. Shout out Caleb. Caleb's awesome.
Yeah. Caleb.
He's a big time listener. It's pretty impressive for how old he is at 16 months or whatever. But he's a lot of fun. Like it was fun to be there and like kind of experience the craziness of trying to get something done as a parent, because we were there trying to get something done with Leroy, and Caleb is running around, ball of energy, no sign of stopping. And then football came on too. So I have a tough time focusing in general. So I was just like, oh. So it was fun though. It was cool. Yeah. I don't envy the parents of the world, but supposedly I'll be one of those one day. But yeah, and then last night supposedly, allegedly. Last night went to go see Kings of Leon down in Philadelphia, and that was fun. Nice. They put on a great show, and we got home late. So today I'm dragging, but you know we're here. Yeah. It's our 1 year.
There we go.
and
we're in the clear.
And we're in the clear to move on to the next segment, which is indie game news. Guess what? We do have a Discord, folks, for anybody who's interested. You can join it. It's in the show notes below. Almost 1 full year of a Discord, if you can believe it. And it is a great time in there. You can hang out. You can pretty much just hang out and chat. But like if you want to play games, sometimes we're up for some games. I was going to play some a game that we played a little bit of this weekend during Sunday Night Football, and it's a good game. It's a very good game, I think.
Yeah.
But it's in early access. We'll talk about that in a bit. Matt, what else is going on? Nintendo couldn't be doing anything right now.
Oh, they're up to something here. Yeah. And this is not surprising in the least, but honestly, biggest news in the indie game world is that Nintendo is seemingly suing Palworld over a Pokeball patent. So as we know, when Palworld came out, all the comparisons to Pokemon were also coming out. It's clear as day that they are very similar. But however, Palworld did make, a good amount of changes. I would say, I think it's the 10% rule. You change it 10% and like it's now your original content. I forget exactly what that is. But it looks like they're going after them specifically for the kind of Pokeball. I don't even know what it's called in Palworld, to be honest, but just, I guess, the mechanic of using a Pokeball, which has brought up another interesting conversation of, I think it's fine. This is maybe just me talking here, but I think it's fine to like copyright or patent like art, things that are like in the creative side of the field. But game mechanics, we're going to start patenting. I know that happens with other games, but we're going to start patenting game mechanics. I just kind of feel like that ends up hurting the gaming industry rather than helping it. But yeah, so Nintendo is apparently, going after Palworld. We know they're ruthless with their lawsuits, and we'll kind of see if Palworld can make it out of this or what kind of changes they end up making.
Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised it didn't come down sooner. We had been talking about this game since it came out, and it was one of those ones where like, is this gonna be all right? And then I thought, wait, they must have thought they were in the clear, to be honest, because it had been a while, and the fact that it really took this long is kind of surprising to me. But I'm not surprised that it happened, because this is kind of Nintendo's MO, especially with this. But I agree with you. It's a little bit tough to copyright game mechanics. It's like copyrighting chord progressions in music, right? Because I mean, if I play the 1 4 5 7 or whatever chord progression, that's like every pop song ever, right? So there's got to be some stuff. It's like, well, is Slay the Spire Mega Crit going to come down on every other roguelike deck builder that exists now because of them? I don't think so. So it's a tight rope to walk, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. And it seems like, at least based on this article, we don't have all the information from Nintendo yet. They haven't really revealed a lot, but apparently there are more patents other than just the kind of the Pokeball one. That's all we know of right now. So unsure of what those other ones are, whether it's art related or maybe more game mechanics. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, if anything, I could understand them going after it for the art reasons, just because there are a lot of similarities. But something like the Pokeball, I don't know. It's like when you start suing over game mechanics, it's hard to draw the line. Like, like you said with Slay the Spire, right? Like they're not going to be suing, every roguelike deck builder that's out there. But if they wanted to patent certain mechanics, like where do you draw the line? How specific can you get with the patent before you're able to actually say, okay, this is mine, and I'm going to sue people that try to copy it? So I don't know. When it comes to Nintendo, I also feel like sometimes they just sue for the sake of suing because they just have so much power, right? There's so much that they control in terms of like their IPs and patents, that I'm also surprised it didn't come sooner. But also, with all this time that has passed, I kind of thought Nintendo would just be fine with it then. I'd be like, okay, I guess Power World's in the clear, but clearly not. They're coming after them now. So who knows? Who knows what will end up happening with this? But I do know that today they actually just announced that Power World is now on PS5. It actually, like, they announced it today and it launched today. So clearly they're still making moves out there, but yeah, just interesting stuff. And I know we've been talking about Power World, in previous episodes. So we'll keep the listeners updated with what's going on with this lawsuit here.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of stop moving along at this point. You gotta just whatever. We'll deal with the lawsuit whenever it comes our way. It's probably good for them to make more money in the meantime, unless I mean I don't know if they'll want to pull like financial data or something like that, but you kind of have to just hope that this doesn't hold as much water as it might seem to. But
yeah,
some other Nintendo quote unquote news, which will be relevant for the indie game sphere, is apparently the Switch 2 hardware has been leaked, or at least a prototype. I've been seeing some videos on this a little bit. I'm bringing up a article here from Eurogamer, which honestly, they're saying this holds a little bit of water here, that this could be real. At least the prototype is real. Now, what are the key differences? A larger display, right, than the typical Switch. Allegedly going to run at 60 FPS handheld and 1080p docked.
Okay.
And we love docking here, I'll tell you that much. And it is also the Joy-Cons. Joy-Cons are back, but they're a little bit modified. They're going to attach via magnets. So magnetized rather than the slide dock, which we've come to get used to. I'm interested in how that will work, because that's like, I don't know. I got it. Magnets, they better be strong magnets. That's all I know.
Yeah.
And then also, there's a whole bunch of stuff that like I don't really know a whole lot about in terms of like them talking about hardware. But the USB-C port on both ends, on the bottom of the screen and on the top, which is a huge, if true, is a huge quality of life change, because when you're charging your Switch and you want to play it, like if you're in handheld mode, you kind of have to hold it like this, depending on where your thing is. But if it's plugged in on top, then it's like a lot easier to you could just lay in bed and have it plugged in on top, and it's going around to your plug or whatever. So I don't know. This is kind of cool. I mean, we know we're due for the next generation of Nintendo console hardware, likely going to stay in the realm of the Switch, something that can be both rather than just handheld or just docked or whatever. It's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, long time coming, and I'm hoping that this thing is just as powerful as we need it to be to run a lot of modern games. There's even games that are getting ported over there today that just don't run that well or look that well. So I'm hoping that the hardware side of things is up to snuff with the rest of the industry. And obviously, it's not going to be as powerful as like the Xbox or the PS5, but just need it. At least give me like Steam Deck, where the Steam Deck seems like, as long as it's Steam Deck verified, it runs pretty well from what I've seen. So hopefully it's kind of on par with that. The magnet thing is very interesting, just because I'm definitely used to the slots now, but there have been a few times where either me or Maria will like accidentally put the Joy-Con in the wrong slot, and then it kind of gets stuck in there, and you're just like, oh man, like I hope I didn't break it, and then you can get it out with a little bit of what do they call it? Yeah, but what are I'm looking for a little bit of muscle, a little bit of muscle oil. No, that's not it.
Elbow grease.
Elbow grease.
Okay.
That's what it is. Not muscle oil.
Muscle oil.
Yeah, I think that's something else. Yeah. So I'm interested to see. Do the magnets hold up? I know. Nowadays, I guess magnets are making their way into more tech. I remember the days where like you were afraid to have a magnet near something, right? Because it would just like screw up your phone or your Game Boy or whatever. So I guess now, they're able to do that with the Joy-Cons for the Switch. I'm also interested to see if they plan on having different designs for the Joy-Cons. I know some people complain that it's uncomfortable after a certain amount of time. That's something that I've never really had an issue with, but I see a lot of people mention that. And I actually take a look at like the Steam Deck controls, and I think those look awful, but apparently people love them. So I don't know, maybe they're going to try something a little bit different in terms of like the layout for the Joy-Cons, or maybe offer Joy-Cons that are in different layouts. That could be interesting as well. But yeah, I'm excited, for this upgrade for the Switch. Hopefully it's true. I think if we're getting hardware leaks here, that's probably closer than it ever has been. So yeah, we'll kind of see what happens with that. I'm also hoping that with an upgrade in hardware, that there might also be some upgrades in software, and maybe they're able to do a little bit more with the software. Specifically, I would love to have like an integrated voice chat on the Switch. They still, right now, you have to like download a phone app and then use that if you want to chat with people. I would love if we were playing Animal Crossing and I visited your island, just be like, yo, what's up, Tom? How you doing? Like just something like that could be pretty cool. So we'll see, what they do with it, but definitely excited to hear this, and hopefully it's coming next year or something. That'd be dope.
Yeah, hopefully sooner rather than later, and hopefully don't have to wait until like holiday next year. Although I think the first Switch launched like late Q1.
It did. Yeah,
late March or whatever,
I believe. Yeah.
So that'd be cool. That'd be very cool. Now, let's take a look back at the year of Fresh Juice, the year of our Lord Fresh Juice. What a time! We reviewed a lot of games. I'm just gonna go through them. Cocoon.
Ooh.
Cocoon. I'm gonna actually. You know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna play a little game.
Okay.
First word that comes to your mind, to your head, when I say the name of the game that we played. You ready?
Okay. Got it.
Cocoon.
Ball.
Pizza possum.
Pizza.
Space wreck.
RPG.
Wizard with a gun.
Close down.
Leica Eats Through Blood.
Motorcycle.
Bish Bash Bots.
Ooh, bots.
The Invincible.
Oh, FPS.
Cuisinier.
Oh, anime.
Checkmate Showdown.
Ooh, soundtrack.
Born of Bread.
Papa Bread. Papa. Whatever.
Hand in Hand.
Co-op.
Chessorama.
Oh, maybe that's the soundtrack one. One of those chess games had a bad soundtrack. I don't remember which
it
one.
was Chess-A-Rama. It was the one with the vuvuzelas.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right.
The Norp Apolog.
Oh, man. Norpin.
Just King.
No.
Time Survivors.
Abraham Lincoln.
The Cub.
Good.
Rin, The Last Child.
Not that good.
Boar Blasters.
Oh, Mining.
Rebel Transmute.
Pixel art.
Pepper Grinder.
Just great. I could talk more about Pepper Grinder. Great.
Moto Knight.
Mobile game.
Goons, Legend and Mayhem.
Oh, PAX.
No Rest for the Wicked.
Dark Souls.
Grand Soul Story.
Turn-based.
Dungeon Minesweeper.
Disappointing.
Animal Well.
Mysterious.
That's a good word. Archaeogem.
Oh, Indiana Jones.
Astor, Blade of the Monolith.
Disappointing too.
Haunty.
Oh, art style. I'm gonna just go with that. Haunty. Art style. Love it.
Questmaster.
Oh, Zelda. Gotta come with the Zelda.
Throne of Bone.
PAX.
Ember Ward.
Oh, Tetris.
Oh dear.
Oh no.
Angerfoot.
I'm gonna go Devolver.
Exophobia.
Ooh, Metroidvania FPS.
Dungeons of Hinterberg.
Zelda-like and Alps. I think of the Alps.
There you go. There you go. Hollow Survivors Prologue.
Oh, Potential.
Potential. All right.
Ah.
Preserve.
Oh, Animals. I just think of Animals.
That's
Great
a
game.
good one. Crypt Custodian.
Crypt Walking. No, I don't know. Cats. I think of Cats.
Meow. Dungeon Divers.
Minesweeper.
Wild Bastards.
Wild, man. Wild.
There you have it, folks.
There
that's
it
the
is.
show. No.
There it is.
Yeah, man. We reviewed 40 or 44 games.
We did
with some weeks off. Kind of either recapping something like, we looked at Slay the Spire as like a retro review. We'll probably do more of those in year 2. It's kind of fun. Now,
get some demos and stuff too.
What are some games that surprised us the most?
I would say from my point of view, actually, Balatro is up there as a game that I figured it would be good. I didn't figure it would be that good. It might be my favorite game on the list. I don't know. I got to think about that, but Balatro definitely surprised me.
I didn't even say Balatro in that list because our Excel sheet kind of flipped out. I got 3 more games for you to give me a word that we didn't even get to see.
Go.
Hellskate.
Tony Hawk.
Balatro.
Poker.
Secrets of Grandia.
Oh man. Adventure.
Ooh. All right.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 for whatever reason. I went from Rin to Boar Blasters, and I did not see the other 3.
Listen, they're just in a league of their own.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah,
so Balatro was the one that surprised you the most. You were just, surprised that could be such a force to be reckoned with.
I just, I'm just kind of thinking like start of the year, right? We started with Cocoon. I really love Cocoon. Gave that a certified fresh juice. And then like the one after that was probably like Norp Apolog, where I was like, this is really great. But then when I played Balatro, I was just like, this, like everything is hitting here. This is a game that I have not uninstalled, since playing it back then, whenever we played it. And then obviously the mobile release is like in 2 days. So yeah, it surprised me how much I like fell in love with the game. And I know you played it a lot more than me, but I still like anytime I boot it up, it's just like riding a bike. I'm just back in it, and I'm like, oh, this is why I love this game. I'm like, I get addicted so quickly to it. So yeah, probably Balatro. I mean, um, if there was another game that maybe surprised me the most, it might be like Pepper Grinder. I thought
Mhm.
Pepper Grinder was a really solid and well-made game. Didn't give it the certified fresh juice, but honestly, I think if it was a longer game, I might have done that. It was just a super short game. So Pepper Grinder also was really good. But yeah, I don't know. It's just hard for me to shake Balatro, to be honest, as a game that surprised me the most. But what about you, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I think Balatro is a fair answer there. I don't know. Like, it was a kind of a game that was made for me, right? Like
Mm,
it was definitely more up my alley. It's like, okay, like deck building and a poker like that, like just kind of already was clicking. So like, it's not
yeah.
like it surprised me. Definitely surprised me how much I ended up playing it and how it kind of swept the world by storm. But I would say some games that surprised me. Secrets of Grindia. I thought
Mhm.
that on its face, like just kind of graphics wise, because every once in a while we would get sent games, like keys for games that kind of just looked pieced together or whatever, you know. And no shade to those games; it's really hard to make a game, but it looked like copy and paste whatever, and that like I thought I was gonna get that vibe from Secrets of Grindia, and then it was like, whoa, this is great. This is a really good game. Gave it a steal. Um,
Yeah.
Something else that really surprised me was, well, it didn't technically surprise me because I did play the demo, but Boar Blasters.
Oh
I
yeah.
played a lot of that game. That was a really fun one to play a lot of. Preserve really surprised me, right? It was just like,
Yeah.
oh, let's check out whatever this like cozy game is gonna be, and then you're like, oh, this is a game, and
Yeah.
yeah, Preserve was another one. Um, Other than that, I think yeah, I mean, Leica definitely surprised me how much I liked it, but
Ooh.
yeah, enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Um,
I think another one on my list too, just looking at our list of games here was Ember Ward,
oh
because
yeah,
I'm not really a tower defense guy at all. And I loved playing Ember Ward. I thought they did so many things well. There was a lot of depth to the game. And obviously the fact that like you kind of use Tetris pieces too, it's just really cool. Gives you almost that like nostalgia vibe when you're playing the game. But Ember Ward was definitely one that surprised me just because that's a genre that I never play.
hmm
I mean, I played balloons maybe like once on my phone, like back in the day. And that was about it. So Ember Ward definitely, was one of the surprising games.
yeah, definitely Ember Ward as well. Yeah, I even go back to that game pretty often. And that was an early access game, and we didn't even have all the content for it, and they're
Yeah,
continuing to add stuff to it. It's kind of, I think it's overwhelmingly positive on Steam at this point. So
yeah.
pretty
It's because
sweet
of us,
because of us. Yeah, we were
Yep.
forefront of that. Now, what's a game or games you hope there's a sequel to? Now, this doesn't even have to be a game that we necessarily thought was good, but we hoped that if they had a sequel would kind of fix a lot of the issues that they had.
Yeah, it's definitely a good question. I think Archaeo Gem had a lot of potential. That was kind of a middle of the road game for us, but I think the aesthetic of the game and like just the overall feel and even like the mechanics. Like it was a very smooth game. I would love to see like an Archaeo Jam 2 that's kind of fleshed out a bit more, maybe some more story elements there since it is kind of Indiana Jones driven. And obviously more puzzles and more interesting puzzles. But I think Archaeo Gem definitely is one that I would love to see a sequel to. And then as for a game that I really enjoyed, Pepper Grinder, I would love to see Pepper Grinder 2. Give me a longer game, kind of what I mentioned before. I think, even for Pepper Grinder to have like some sort of open play mode where I could just like dig dug it, and just drill down, and like some sort of dig dug mode would be really cool because that was just super satisfying. So, off the top of my head, those are probably the two that I'd love to see a sequel to, for different reasons.
Yeah. I mean, those are good ones. I think, honestly, I would have loved to have seen a sequel to Wizard with a Gun with a lot of the gameplay things kind of shored up into a little bit simpler of like they just tried to throw so much at it. That would have been cool. To be honest with you, not a whole lot that I would like. I'm like itching to have a sequel to. Hollow Survivors, I'm excited for the main release of that game. Crypt Custodian is a game that I think could have a sequel and probably kind of really knock it out of the water. But I guess like an Animal Well sequel would be kind of neat because it's kind of created this subgenre of the Metroidvania genre, right? Where it's not combat based, it's all mystery and kind of just like figure it out. To see that done again by the same developers would be really cool because like I think people are just happy to explore that, right? And if you create a whole nother world for like players to explore, I think that would kind of be a home run. Even if it's not even Animal Well, it's just another game by them in that style. Not even like that graphic style, but like that style of Metroidvania would be pretty sweet. So
yeah, and I could see like out of all the games that we've mentioned there, Animal Well or that studio probably has the best shot to make a sequel because they have some decent funding behind them. Animal Well was obviously really well received. So I could see, Animal Well 2 or whatever it is being announced maybe in like a few years, to be honest. I think there's definitely a chance for that one.
Yeah, that would be really sweet. Now, what's a game that disappointed you the most? Because some of these games did have some hype around them.
Yeah, this one is pretty easy for me. It's going to be Hellskate. I love the Tony Hawk games, grew up with them. Like they're just a lot of fun to play. Like I'm not even that much into like skateboarding or anything like that. But those games are just a lot of fun. And so you look at Hellskate, you look at it on paper and you're like, yeah, this is going to be great. Like it's a Tony Hawk, skateboarding roguelike. And even though it's early access, it was still just, it was just something with the formula that they had off. It didn't feel smooth. Like when it comes to skateboarding games, you want it to be a smooth experience because you want to feel like you're actually, doing sick tricks and stuff like that while skateboarding. And I think the fact that they didn't really use skateboarding as the way of combat. Instead, you had to like, actually do combat while you were skateboarding kind of made it a little too disjointed for me. And I would have liked it if maybe it was based on like, the awesome tricks you do, just somehow maybe like shoot things out. And that's part of the combat. So Hellskate for me was one that I was really looking forward to, even though it was going to be early access. And it definitely disappointed me. I gave it an on sale because I do think there was potential there, but I think there were some core things with the game that are just really hard to update. And maybe that's another one where if they had a sequel, they could fix a lot of those things. So maybe that goes into that question too. But right out of the gate, I mean, Hellskate for me was something that I was disappointed by. What about you?
Yeah, Hellskate's a good answer. I think for me, the number one was like if you were to give me this list and not give me my ratings, like I hadn't played them yet, and you gave me this list, and you gave me the marketing behind each game, right? And you said, which of these games is going to be your game of the year? I would have said Wizard with a Gun.
Okay, yeah.
Full stop. I would have been like, that looks cool. That looks like something that I would play. That looks like something I would put a lot of time into. And it just wasn't there. And it's really a shame. And, you can go back to that episode to really like understand. We gave it an on sale, which I think was a fair kind of assessment. It just had so many ideas being like happening at the same time. The what do they call it? The crafting was not necessary.
Survival.
Yeah, the survival and crafting. Then not everything needs crafting, and I know that's probably a hot take. Maybe it's not, but like the crafting stuff sometimes just doesn't work in some stuff, and I thought that was one of them. Something else that definitely was a little bit of a disappointment was I was just looking at it. So I gave it a steal. But Goons, Legends of Mayhem, because I know how good that game can be, couch play, the fact that they just launched it, I guess it's on Xbox, but like, you want it on the Switch to really kind of get the couch play things happening. That was a little bit disappointing for me. And I think that's probably it. I don't think I had high hopes for Oh Dear, but I guess also a little bit of Dungeons of Hinterberg, which I believe I gave a low steal. I was being generous. I was hoping it would have been mind blowing based on the early stuff we had seen. Even I think in the first episode we talked about it. That Dungeons of Hinterberg would have been a little bit better. But now, what was your favorite game of the year?
Oh man, so it's hard to ignore Balatro. It's definitely one of the games that we played that was it's just so polished and so replayable and so simple to learn as well that it's just hard to ignore that. I mean, Balatro definitely is up there for me. I also really did enjoy Cocoon. I know it was it was our first episode, so I was like, am I really giving the highest score on the first game that I played? But I loved playing Cocoon. Like those types of games are right up my alley, to be honest. And it almost had like a little bit of like Animal Well feel. I mean, there's not as much mystery there, but there was still a lot of like, okay, I got to try to figure out like how this works with Cocoon. But it's hard for me to just not have Balatro as the number one. I'm gonna guess that you're the same way, but what do you think, Tom? What was your favorite game?
I mean, Balatro is the best game that came out this year, and to be honest, year two's got some stiff competition with some like bangers that we reviewed. After Balatro, I would put Board Blasters for me.
Okay.
And then followed by that, it would be Ember Ward, most likely, and then like Preserve after that, and then probably like Animal Well. But like those are all really good games that like I really enjoyed. I also I put in some time in that game as well. But Balatro is by far number one, and it's weird. It's like I've had been playing Balatro like while I was trying to 100% it at the gym, and like while I was on the treadmill. And now like I don't play it. I play like I've been playing Wild Frost on my phone, and which is still really good, but like I kind of screwed myself in Wild Frost on my phone account because in that game when you win, you have to win again, you have to beat your last team. And I won with a team that I think is unbeatable. Like I'm racking my brain to try to figure out a way to beat my last team, which is like crazy because then if I beat that one, the team that I beat that one with is going to be arguably even stronger. Although there could be some counterplay, like I could be countering kind of what the other team was good at. So we'll see.
Oh my God. So you're literally screwing yourself Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're like, why was I so good?
Yeah,
Like,
why is it so good? I think I know what I need. I know what I have to do, but I don't have the strength to do it. But so I've been playing that. So I have a feeling I'm gonna be back on the Balcho grind on my phone starting
nice.
this week. Which whatever, it's a great game and it'd be fun to play on the phone. I saw Local Thunk posted a picture of him playing it on a hike, getting ready for the release. That was kind of cool. So yeah, that'd be my favorite game. Now, in terms of the genres we seem to like the most individually, you ran it through a little algae rhythm. If anybody saw the Space Jam remake, I didn't, but I know that's a character. Matty seems to like puzzle games, action games, RPGs, strategy games, and adventure games in that order. Does that surprise you?
It does. Yeah. I mean, obviously some of it has to do with like the types of games we've been reviewing over the last year, where like sometimes it's like something we choose, sometimes it's just presented to us and we're like, yeah, we'll review it. But it does surprise me that, I did, like Tommy mentioned, it ran this through like an AI, basically took like our 4 and 5 ratings, our steals and our certified fresh uses, and figured out the genres for those games and just kind of put a top 5 list of those genres. So it does surprise me as someone that, like, I love puzzle games, but I wouldn't say that I'm a puzzle gamer, right? I'm not playing them all the time. But I do enjoy playing puzzle games specifically on my phone. And Maria can attest to this. Like, I always am like showing her different games. I'm like, oh, like, look at how cool this puzzle game is. And she doesn't care as much because puzzle games are like a niche kind of genre, I would say. You got to be into it to really enjoy it. But yeah, that definitely surprises me. The other ones, not so much. I mean, action games, RPGs, strategy games on the list is interesting. I feel like that kind of falls maybe into the puzzle kind of game thing as well. And then adventure games, that's kind of in line with me as well. But yeah, so it does surprise me a little bit, but not entirely. It's just, I guess, we've been playing a decent amount of puzzle games, I guess you could say, over the last year or so.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
puzzling is the nice little genre you can inject into a lot of different subgenres, which is pretty cool. Myself, I liked action games, RPGs, strategy games, puzzle games, adventure games. Well, about what I expect. I mean, it's kind of weird because I think I like them all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know. Yeah.
But I like a good action game if it can keep me kind of, I guess, like focused. And I think like things like Board Blasters probably counts as an action game. That was like just like in kind of focus on playing that, and even like Hollow Survivors and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised. I do like a good RPG from time to time, and I'm interested to see. Excuse me, like how many like hardcore RPGs will end up playing in our time, because we're not hardcore RPG fans. I would say, but they're definitely going to come across our desk at some point, which is kind of interesting and a good way to segment into looking forward to year 2 of the podcast. What are some things you hope happen this year coming into year 2, and games you hope to see you play?
Yeah. So, obviously it's been a crazy 2024 so far, right? With all the layoffs and just a bunch of it's been a weird year for gaming. It's been a successful year, but also a sad year. So I'm anticipating, I mean, I know we have a list kind of what's coming in 2025, but I'm anticipating that there's a bunch of games we don't even know about that are going to surprise us next year. So I'm hoping we get more of those kind of Baltro, Norp Apologues just coming out of nowhere and really just, giving us those certified fresh juices. So that's what I'm kind of predicting overall for the year, is that just a lot of surprises. Now, as far as like specific games that I might be looking forward to, obviously like Slay the Spire 2 is coming out next year. That's something that I just got into from the podcast. I thought it was a good experience with the first game, so I'm definitely interested in trying out the second one. Um, and there's a bunch of other games here. A lot of them I don't really know the title of. I'm looking at like a whole list, or I don't really know like what exactly it's about. I know one of them is called Morsels that I'm looking forward to as well. We kind of covered on a previous episode. It has a really interesting art style. It's like an adventure game, so I'm looking forward to that one too. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, as far as like the show goes, looking forward to maybe getting some developer interviews. That would be great. We're actually, just for the listeners to know, we are working on kind of setting up a different way to kind of record these episodes so that we can show more gameplay. We can have higher quality overall for the show. We can have a lot more customization with the show as well. And then that will also open up the door for us to have more guests on the show as well, because I know there have been a few people, even some devs at PAX, that have expressed interest in being on the show when we told them about it. So that's for the show. I would love to get more developer interviews on there. And then, obviously just have really great conversations with those devs. Because there's a lot, we play games, obviously play a lot of indie games. We're doing the show for a year, but there's still a ton we don't know because we're not developers. So getting their perspective on the show, I think, would just be great for the listeners, but also for us to kind of learn a bit more about what goes on behind the scenes and how difficult it actually is for these indie devs to get a game published, even these solo devs. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to overall with next year. But I'm honestly, when it comes to like looking forward to like indie games, I like to be surprised by indie games. I like to hear about something, like the month it's coming out or a month before it's coming out, whatever it is. And just look forward to playing it. So I don't really, there's select few indie games that are just probably bigger than indie at this point, that obviously I keep my eye on. But I always just like to be surprised by indie games. So I don't really have like a full list or anything like that I look at for next year. And obviously I think also like indie game release dates change all the time because, just the way the industry is. So, yeah, but that's what I'm thinking. What about you, Tommy? What are you looking forward to 2025?
None of that. No, there's a lot I'm looking forward to. Slay the Spire 2. Just kind of looking through actually some releases right now. Some exciting stuff. There's going to be another Necrodancer game, which might be cool. We haven't played anything like that really. To kind of like explore some genres that maybe we don't play as much, and kind of see how many deck builder roguelikes we can play. And I'm kidding. I'm hoping to get into some really cool betas, right? That I can come back to the show and be like, I can't say much about this game, but I'm in this closed beta for this game called this. And I'll tell you what, you guys are going to love this game whenever it comes out or something like that. So that seems like a lot of fun. There's just kind of like something that I feel like we've actually been pretty good about is keeping our ear to the ground on games and to continue to do that. And like you said, it's nice to be a little bit more surprised by games or kind of kind of be one of the first few players of a game and listen, this is awesome. So I'm hoping to see a little bit more of that and kind of be the forefront of some things. I think that would be a lot of fun, because how cool would it have been if we were the first Balatro kind of like, you guys gotta play this game, stuff like that, which obviously that game had a lot of hype around it anyway in its respective circles, but it'd be kind of cool. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what we get to play and where the industry goes, because you mentioned it. It was a wild year for the industry, and then also it'd be really cool to if the Switch 2 comes out, that's the first major console that will come out while we're doing the show, which would be really, really cool. So I'm excited. I'm excited for kind of where the show goes and what we get to do, and some interviews would be sick as well. But I'm excited.
Also, just one other game too that I just thought of is 33 Immortals.
Oh
That was
yeah,
something we played the alpha or the beta of, so that's supposed to be coming out, I guess, in 2025. But that's definitely a game that
oh
we
yeah.
can hype up on the show. If you haven't tried out 33 Immortals, join their Discord. I think they've been doing play tests for it too recently, so check it out. That's an awesome game.
That game's awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun when it comes out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very excited. Now, the first game that we're reviewing this year, in year 2, is supposedly a banger, UFO 50. If we end up playing that, we'll see. But we've been playing a little bit of an early access game called Spell Brigade. We're not going to go into a review, but I just want to bring it up because I'm enjoying the hell out of this game, and it is everything that I want out of a survivors like a vampire survivors like. That also gives me Gauntlet vibes. I don't know if you've gotten that as well.
Yeah, a little bit of Gauntlet vibes for sure. And it's an early access game too, which is just really impressive. And I think it's only like $10 too on Steam. And there's a free demo as well, which is what I played first before I kind of hopped into it. But yeah, it's obviously the coolest part. I think the part that gives me those Gauntlet vibes is because it's a survivors like, but it's co-op. You can play with up to 4 people. So that has been a lot of fun. I've done matchmaking with it as well. And it's just been a blast of like, you're kind of almost like working independently. And then when certain things happen, you kind of come together to help each other out. But yeah, I've been really enjoying the game, trying to unlock everything that I can with the game as well. But yeah, it's got a very positive on Steam, and one of our buddies, I think Pat, had picked it up as well. So if any juice heads out there decide to pick it up too, let us know, because I've been really enjoying playing it, and it's got that, it's wizards, right? Like it's just cool. It's like a cool aesthetic, right? Like we play games like Time Survivors, which are cool. But there's just nothing like having like a fantasy kind of theme to a game. Especially one like this. So I've been enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah, and it's got the Steam Deck verification, which is just another thing that makes me want a goddamn Steam Deck. I would play the hell out of this game on the couch. My God.
Yeah.
Oh man. But
yeah. Also what's interesting about that too is that this game, when you launch it, it recommends like using a controller, which I did play, but then I actually found it for me to just be easier to just use the arrow keys. You could just so it still works very well with keyboard, which is what I normally play the survivors kind of games with. But obviously if you got the Steam Deck, you would be using the controller on there. So it still works pretty well with the controller, but just for anyone who's looking to pick it up, it works just fine with the keyboard too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's really cool. I was just watching football and playing it, and then I like that it gives you like these specific missions to do and stuff like that. It's just it expands upon the genre in like subtle ways that I think are just like huge quality of life upgrades. So hopefully we review that when it comes out in 1.0 or something like that. That would be pretty neat. Now, we do have some listener questions. If any, you can submit these on the Fresh Juice Discord. The first comes from Capolo, who asks, which video game made you miss your bedtime the most times?
So honestly, the one that comes to mind is Pokemon Yellow. I remember like using my Game Boy Color with that little like, because it wasn't a backlit screen, so you had to get like the attachment of the light that would point down at the screen. I'd be under my covers just playing Pokemon like late into the night, or at least it felt late into the night. It was probably like 10 p.m., or 11 p.m. It wasn't even that late, but probably, Pokemon Yellow, I'd probably say. I do remember staying up pretty late, like with the DS though. Playing late, but I don't remember exactly what I'd be playing. I think I just played, a bunch of different games, or sending Picto chats to my friends, at like 11 p.m. of, some crude drawings and things like that. But, I don't know. That's what comes to mind first.
For me, it's got to either be Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, or actually, to be honest, it's probably the first Animal Crossing
Oh,
on GameCube. So like at the time, my sister and I shared a bedroom, and we both loved Animal Crossing. But it was like school, so you don't have a lot of time to do the normal Animal Crossing daytime stuff during the day. So we basically switched the time so like it was daytime in the game at night. So we would wait till our parents went to sleep, and then we'd hop on and we would do all of our Animal Crossing stuff. It was daytime in the game, even though it was night for us. So I do,
genius.
yeah, we were smart kids. And
Ahead
then
of your
you
time.
accidentally turn it off, and Rossetti would scream his ass off. But yeah, uh, good times there. Now, Kmore asked, "Do you have any dreams or nightmares that just stick with you?"
Um, let's see. I mean, one of them that like has been brought up before is like the hot dog nightmare I've had where like I was a kid, I opened up a door in like the house I grew up in, and my grandmother was there, and she bent her head down, and the top of her head looked like the end of a hot dog, and so that freaked me out. I didn't want to eat hot dog ends for a while. Got over that. So that's one that I think of before. And then also I have like, I don't even know if this is a dream or a nightmare. I haven't had it for a while, but I used to have like dreams where I would be like sitting at a desk and looking at like a blank piece of paper with like a pencil next to it, but I wouldn't be able to like grab the pencil,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just be staring at it. And then all of a sudden I would just wake up. Um, so that was a weird one, but I haven't had that in years. So who knows what that even meant? I figured it out. That's why I haven't had the dream. But yeah, so I don't know. Those are the two that come to mind. What about you, Tom? Were you dreaming of Animal Crossing?
No. So I used to have like a recurring dream when I was a kid that I don't really remember anymore, but I remember it was like a nightmare, and I had it like every week for like 2 months straight or whatever.
Jeez.
But I don't remember it now, which is crazy. I'm just remembering that I used to have it, and
Yeah.
now I don't remember. But there is one funny dream that I still remember, that I was playing baseball, right? I was a kid playing baseball and whatever, strike one, strike two. And then I was like, oh, pitcher's going to throw a fastball. Throws the fastball, and the ball's coming at me at slow mo. And the ball turns into my sister's face. And she's screaming, Tom! Tom! And I'm like, oh my God. And then it like I go to like hit the ball, and then I wake up and I realize it was morning, and my sister was already up and she was screaming my name to like wake me up. So that was crazy. That was a
Yeah.
crazy
That's
one.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was like weird. It was trippy.
Yeah. And you had a bat in your hands when you woke up. You're like, what the hell?
That one was wild.
Yeah.
Bags asks, if you can remember, what was your go-to Pokemon team in Gen 1?
Oh man, I don't remember. It was definitely Squirtle, because that was who I chose. It was
Well,
Squirtle boy.
yeah, but
Um,
what was like, you go into the Elite Four. I feel like this is the question. Like, you go into the Elite Four, what's your team like?
yeah, I don't remember the team.
Oh,
I know
well,
Squirtle was part
Blastoise.
of the team. Oh,
Well, that
I guess it would be Blastoise. Yeah. Mewtwo probably was in there. Um, oh God, I don't even know. Maybe a Raichu too. Uh, you know,
yeah.
uh, I don't know. Those are the three I can think of. I honestly don't remember. I have to look up a list now. Maybe it'll trigger my memory. Do you know yours, Tom?
Yeah. So I was always Blastoise. So I always wanted to cover all the different bases. So, it was Blastoise, but if so, actually, I'll give you two. There's there there's Blastoise or the Venusaur one, right?
Mhm.
And they're just a little bit different. And I'm gonna tell you in a sec. I just gotta write it down so I remember, and then So my first team ever in Gen 1 was Venusaur, Raichu, Gyarados, Arcanine, Haunter, and Golem.
All right.
Right. And then my go-to team in later runs, very similar, Blastoise instead of Venusaur, Raichu, and then Vileplume instead of Gyarados, Arcanine, Haunter, Golem. I do remember.
You do.
I've played it recently.
Okay. I'm looking at a list here. I definitely had a Sandslash in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I quite liked Sandslash, so I definitely had it. I can't remember what the fifth or the sixth one would be.
Pidgeot. I feel like you're a Pidgeot gamer.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, are we counting Articuno?
Yeah,
you know, could have them in there.
Articuno was sick.
Yeah, but I don't know if I had that in my first team, probably didn't even know it existed. But definitely Blastoise, definitely Sandslash, definitely Raichu. Those three at least were in there. But yeah, I can't remember the whole thing. I'm surprised. I mean, props to you for remembering, I'll have to find my old Pokemon Yellow. I still have it somewhere here.
I'm a Gen 1 kid, dude. I love Gen 1 more than life itself. If I'm on TikTok or whatever and somebody starts ranking the generations of Pokemon and they start at the bottom and within the first 3 generations that they mention is Gen 1, I want to throw my phone across the goddamn room and I want to comment some really, really nasty stuff, but I prevent myself from doing it because I don't want to get banned. Yeah, I'm a Gen 1 gamer. I like Gen 2 and Gen 3. That's it. Anything after that, and once they moved to the DS, honestly, that was the end of Pokemon. And everybody else should have believed that too. But here I am. I'll talk about it.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I played some of the later Pokemons, but I don't remember any of those Pokemon.
Yeah, the Game Boy Advance ones were good. Those were really good. But I don't remember all the Pokemon in them, but they had some bangers. Sableye was sick. Trapinch, that was a banger. So, just to name a few.
Yeah. No, keep going.
There was Tyranitar. I think that was in Gen 2. But But the 151 I could probably still name, but we're not going to do that on the podcast.
Here we go. No, it's the year episode. Here we go. You got to do it. How about on our 151st episode?
Yeah, I could do that easily.
Okay. Easily.
All right. Now, last question comes from R. Carp, who asks, what's the best root beer brand?
This is easy for me. I'm a Stewart's guy. I love Stewart's root beer. I'm a big root beer guy. I think if you're gonna, if you're just looking at, I think Stewart's is like an above average. It's like almost like they're in separate classes, like Stewart's and IBC and all those ones that like you can get in like the chilled mugs and they come in the glass bottles. That's like a whole different arena. And then you got like the ones that you got at like the soda fountains, right? You got like your mug, your A&W, your Barks. Out of those, Barks is number one for me. All right.
Okay.
Because it's like a clear winner.
Yeah.
And it's for two reasons. One, obviously the taste, it's got a nice bite to it. And two, their slogan is the best slogan I've ever heard.
It's just good.
Is good. Yeah.
It's good.
It's just Barks is good. I'm just like, yeah, it is. So Barks is a number one for me. You can even ask Maria whenever we're somewhere and like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get a root beer. And they give me like a can of Barks. I'm like, yes, like they have standards here. Mm-hmm. So, that's going to be it for me. But Stewart, it's hard for me to turn down a Stewart's. I'm always a Stewart's guy, but it's a lot more rare than getting like some of those soft drink ones.
Yeah. I mean, they have the Stewart. They're in the soda aisle. There's the regular sodas, and then there's the glass bottled sodas where you can get like Stewart's IBC. I will say, I haven't had either in a long time, but I was an IBC kid if I was given the choice between Stewart's and IBC, that's not knocking Stewart's. I think Stewart's is doing great stuff. But you are so right about Barks. Barks is the best. There's not. It's like not even a competition. And I know Mug gets a lot of good press in the meme world. People love their Mug root beer in the memes.
This sucks.
I hate to say it could be the worst one. I'll take A&W over it.
Yeah.
Barks is just it, honestly. And Capolo, I know, has tuned out by now because I don't think Capolo. A lot of Europeans cannot believe that we Americans like root beer. Allegedly,
Really?
that's what their toothpaste tastes like. I don't.
Really?
Yeah. I
gotta move to Europe.
Start brushing my teeth over there.
I just gotta get cans of Barks and start putting them on my toothbrush.
And another thing, yeah, Barks is just it's got that bite to it, just oh man, I love Barks, and I drink all like diet soda or zero sugar soda now, and we were for a while just getting the Barks diet, right? And then like all the grocery stores around me just started like being out of stock on it. I don't know what's happening. Now we get just like Coke Zero from Costco. It just makes more sense money wise, but like, I do miss my Barks. So
yeah.
But the freestyle Coke machines, they're serving Barks, so we're all good there.
Yeah, thank God.
Good question, Arcarp.
Great question. Yeah.
That brings us to the rec room. What do you have to recommend this week?
So I am recommending, this is a movie that I just watched for the first time. I've always seen clips of it. And it's right up my alley. It's Moneyball. A lot of people already know Moneyball. Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Movie about apparently true story, right? About general manager for the Oakland Athletics, Major League Baseball team. Basically, it's a story about how analytics became a bigger part of sports, and specifically for the MLB, and how teams like the Oakland Athletics that have a much smaller budget than bigger teams like the Yankees or the Red Sox are able to compete with them because they're able to take advantage of basically data. So very interesting movie overall. I really did enjoy it. I'm a big fan of baseball. And I also, love data and like when those movies that get into like the math of things or whatever. And so it was right up my alley. And also it's just like, it's got one of the best, I don't know if this is a quote only from this movie. I don't know if it's from something else, but like they say, like, it's hard to not be romantic about baseball. And that's what, like, I was showing it to Maria, and she just wasn't into it because she's not like, she just doesn't get into sports movies a lot. Like I've showed her Field of Dreams. She wasn't like super like into that. And I'm just like, all right. But for whatever reason, and she pointed this out actually today, she was just like, with you and baseball movies, like I get like emotional when I watch baseball movies for whatever reason, like field, anything it is, Angels in the Outfield. I mean, like, geez, I don't know what it is. And like Moneyball was like pulling all the right freaking strings, and just a great film overall. And probably something I'll watch, just in the background, when I'm doing stuff. But yeah, my rec room is Moneyball.
It's funny enough, I've never sat down and watched the whole movie. I've seen, like, I think every part of it. I know exactly what happens in the whole movie. I think I for a class, I had to watch half of it, like in class, and then the class ended. And I was like, oh, I'll eventually watch the other half, and then never did. But I've seen every clip. Yeah. It's awesome. I mean, I can't really give it a ringing review if I haven't really seen it. But that
what stopped you in the past from giving great reviews to movies you've never seen?
Wait a second. That's inside baseball. But is Moneyball the one that has that just like the dun, dun, like the guitar in the background that's just like so somber, but like not somber in a sad way, but like somber in like an empty baseball field way, if that makes sense. Like the stadium's like you're just getting ready for the game or whatever. Oh, it is hard not, and like I love baseball and I'm so critical of where the sport is going, but the movies are pretty good for baseball. So
Yeah, especially since like in this movie, it's like showing like all the guys that like we grew up with. You know, it's got like Jeter and Bernie Williams and
Giambi,
Mariano.
right?
Yeah, Giambi. I mean, I'm just like, Johnny Damon. I'm just like, Jesus, like I just miss watching baseball back then.
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah. So yeah, it gets me all. Gets to me. But great movie.
I get it. I have a new album to recommend. New album by my favorite band, Trampled by Turtles. Technically, it's only 5 songs, but done twice. It's called Always Here, Always Now. The first 5 songs they're all 5 songs written by the lead singer, guitarist, Dave Simonette, that he had Trampled by Turtles play those 5 songs, and then he had his side project play those 5 songs. And he wanted to see how they were kind of interpreted and how they came out differently. And they put it together into one album. His side project's called Dead Man Winter. So very cool, even featuring a feature from Leanne Rimes, which is totally, blast from the past 25 years ago. That was pretty cool. Really good. Just it's kind of interesting. Trampled by Turtles has always been a band that he has written most of his music when he was like down in the dumps, right? Like just like life was hard. Whether it was like, we are a struggling band, I still have to do roofing on the side to make ends meet. Then like, I have kids and it's a struggle. I want to be home with them, even though I have to tour all the time. Oh, I have a divorce, blah, blah, blah. And now he's like in a good spot in life. So it's like kind of these love songs to like his new wife and kind of this longingness to not lose that again. So I thought it was a really sweet album. Just nice, like, boom. Like if you only want to listen to one side, you can. But if you want to listen to both sides, it's kind of interesting. So, yeah,
cool.
Always Here, Always Now.
So it's the same 5 songs on both sides, just interpreted differently?
Yeah, played by technically different bands. So he's singing in both. Cool. The bass player is technically the same in both, but Trampled by Turtles is more a folky bluegrass band, and then Dead Man Winter is more this kind of contemporary alternative kind of band. So
cool.
But yeah, that's it.
Hell yeah,
that's it.
Very cool.
That's gonna do for the show, folks. Get ready for year 2. We're gonna have Mr. Beast on, I think. I'm still waiting on an email. But you can continue to find me on Twitter at FreshBudsPod. It is the best place to find me if you want to find out where all my stuff is for Fresh and Buds, a podcast I do about the game Flesh and Blood. You can find us on all socials at Fresh Juice Pod. And Matt, where can people find you?
Find me at Matty Gorm, Gorm, on all the socials, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, all that good stuff. And maybe you'll catch me live in the near future.
Amen. Catch me outside. How about that?
Stay fresh.